So, good evening everyone. I'd like to extend a very warm welcome alongside an abundance of heartfelt gratitude to you all for being with us here tonight. My name is Scott. I'm a member of the team at Miklat. Hey, I'll be navigating us through the evening somewhat tonight and feel deeply honored to be doing so. I would like to acknowledge right at the outset just how profoundly meaningful it is to witness the incredible show of support that you've all made by just being here tonight. Carving out time during what is unquestionably a busy and a full holiday season. It means the world to us, truly. We've congregated here tonight to celebrate recovery. Coming together in this way speaks roaring volumes to who we are and to what we stand for. Any community like ours, whose focus is holistic, who holds as paramount the autonomy and the well-being of its varied membership, unites around those for whom care is required. The primary purpose for our being here tonight, assembling in this way, is to do just this very thing. Because when our good intentions mobilize into actionable output, we effect tangible change in the lives of those who need it most. No one in the early stages of life hatches a plan to become addicted. No one dreams that one day they too will have the bright spots in their lives dulled, eventually extinguished by the ravages of alcoholism. New opportunities for access to life-saving treatment will be championed here tonight. And for that, I, the whole team at Miklat, and the innumerable people who are to be helped, thank you. As we gather this evening for our Christmas gala, we respectfully acknowledge that we are on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Klahaman Nation. The Klahaman people have stewarded this land for countless generations, nurturing its beauty, resources, and community. In the spirit of the season, therefore, let us embrace the values of respect, reconciliation, and community, ever remaining mindful of the history and culture of the Klahaman people, whose traditions and stories continue to shape this region. May tonight's gathering inspire us to support and uplift one another, as well as the broader communities we are privileged to be a part of. I'd like to take a quick moment now, just on the front end of things, to lay out just the briefest of overviews with regard to how the evening is to unfold. So at 6:30, very shortly, we'll be treated to a rich and delicious meal prepared by Chef Steve and Chef Zach, a couple of remarkably talented Miklat alumni who we certainly love a whole lot. This will thereafter be followed immediately by dessert, which is of course a good thing. We'll proceed from there to some moving moments and stories shared by individuals for whom Miklat, like a beacon amid perilous fogs, has played a vital role in the freedom they now know today. Lastly, the final bids for our silent auction, with its vast and varied array of offerings, will be closing at 8:30, the winners to be announced immediately thereafter. We'll now have the program manager of Miklat, Rob Fitzpatrick, get us up to speed a bit, looking back at the year that was and forward to the year to come. Please help me welcome Rob.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome. With Christmas and Hanukkah now less than a month away, we find ourselves entering what many people call the season of giving, a time of generosity, compassion, and connection. It's a season that belongs to all of us, everyone who believes in kindness, in helping others, and in lifting up our community. So tonight, wherever you celebrate Christmas, whether you celebrate Christmas or Hanukkah or other cultural or spiritual traditions this time of year, or whether you simply celebrate the joy of gathering with good people for a good cause, we welcome you. Before we go on any further tonight, I want to begin where all good things begin, here in Cathet region, with gratitude for the land and the people who came long before us. We gather on the traditional territory of the Kahama Nation, and we are deeply grateful for their stewardship, their history, and their ongoing contributions to this region. Tonight is a celebration of the season of recovery, of community, and of the incredible blessings we have experienced over the past 7 years. 7 years, hard to believe, right? 7 years ago, Miklat was just a dream shared between two men who thought, hey, if we start an affordable treatment center in our beautiful city, could we do that? I'm sure at least one person in their life said, in one of their lives said, you really want to do that? But like many great ideas, it started with hope, caffeine, determination, and probably a few moments of what did we get ourselves into. Those early days were not glamorous, they were character building. We didn't have a perfect home, it needed a lot of work. We had no steady revenue, we had no fancy offices, no security, no stable staff. We had volunteers doing everything, cooking, cleaning, counseling, driving, occasionally refereeing. We furnished the house with donated couches, donated dishes, donated furniture, mattresses. Honestly, the only thing that we didn't have donated was the stress. But we moved forward anyways, because we believed this community deserved affordable recovery close to home. We believe people deserve dignity, belonging, and support, not barriers and wait lists. And somehow, with determination, prayer, and the entire community behind us, we got licensed, opened our doors, and welcomed our first clients. Looking back, it's amazing what can grow from nothing when people believe in something. The miracle of those early days still lives in everything that we do today. Fast forward today, and wow, this year we've completed one of the biggest milestones in our history. The transformation of the old Arbutus Hall, Fire Hall, into a beautiful 12-bed treatment center. And I have to say, if our firefighters could see the place now, they probably want to move back in. This transformation only happened because of extraordinary generosity. Tonight we honor all the people and organizations who made this dream possible. Pastor Lucas and Lisa Mitchell, the Leyland family, the Ilahi Foundation, Powell River Community Forest, the Cathet Regional Hospital District, the past and present city councils of Powell River, the Ronald S. Roadberg Foundation, the Blaneham Foundation, and all the other generous donors who contributed to this project. To each and every one of you, thank you for helping turn a dusty old fire hall into a home for healing. We are still working to close the books financially on the expansion. Our recent funding requests to the city and the regional hospital district for the remaining $200,000 weren't approved. So if anyone here has a check for $200,000, burning a hole in your pockets, now tonight would be the night to bring it out. All jokes aside, we remain hopeful. When the cause is this important, support always finds its way. And, sorry, a little bit nervous. And once that final chapter is closed, we will be able to turn our full attention to something we've been dreaming about for years, a women's recovery program. So please, if you feel inclined, donations can be made on our website or at the merchandise booth anytime during the evening. We also want to honor our partnership with Together We Can. They welcomed us with open arms and folded us into their 30-year legacy of recovery and healing. Becoming a part of Together We Can didn't just give us support, it gave us stability, mentorship, and a family that shares our values and mission. But more than anything, tonight is about the people. It's about every single client who has walked through our doors over the years, every man who has stepped into recovery with courage, every person who has fought through fear, uncertainty, and darkness and chose hope. Their transformation is the miracle we are here to celebrate. And let us also honor the women in the room who have walked their own recovery journeys, women who have faced enormous challenges, rebuilt their lives, and stand here today with strength and pride. Your stories inspire us just as deeply. Addiction takes so much from us, our joy, our relationships, our sense of purpose. But recovery gives it all back. Recovery reconnects us. It gives us hope, direction, and new life. It turns pain into wisdom and darkness into light. Every person deserves the opportunity to experience a life free from addiction. Every person deserves a chance to rise into their full potential, to become a beacon of light for others. And tonight, you will see many examples of that right here in this room. So please sit back tonight, enjoy the warmth of this gathering, enjoy the laughter, the connection, and the energy of this room, enjoy the incredible Christmas and Hanukkah season that is quickly approaching, enjoy the dinner prepared by two of our talented graduates, chefs who have turned recovery into culinary mastery. Let yourselves be inspired by the speakers who will share their stories tonight, people who, like me, come from the trenches, were lifted up by recovery, and now walk in the light, helping others find their way. This is what Miklat is about. This is what community is about. And this, all of you gathered here tonight, is what hope looks like. As we gather tonight, less than a month before Christmas and Hanukkah, let this evening mark the beginning of a season filled with generosity, light, and renewal. Let the spirit in this room carry us into the holidays and into the future with gratitude and hope. Thank you all from the bottom of our hearts for helping us build this Miklat. Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and may the coming season fill your life with warmth, joy, and new beginnings.
Thank you so much, Rob. Okay, one of the individuals without whom the very conception of the new Arbutus building that Rob was just referring to wouldn't have been possible is here with us tonight and would like to share a few words. Please help me welcome Hannah.
My name is Hannah Leland. I came here this weekend from Vancouver specifically for this event because Miklat and addiction recovery has deeply shaped my life. While I was finishing an undergrad and then a master's of architecture, my brother lived in serious addiction for more than 10 years. During this time, he attended 12 different rehabs, and between each rehab visit, he was repeatedly hospitalized for overdose. He would go to the bathroom in a restaurant or in my parents' home at what we thought was a nice family dinner, and then fail to return only to discover he had overdosed in the bathroom. This was our reality for more than a decade. In 2017, I wrote an article that was published in the Globe and Mail. The newspaper titled it, "My Brother, the Addict." I wrote this in hopes of feeling less alone and decreasing the stigma around addiction, to show that even though our society discriminates against those with addictions, addiction doesn't discriminate and can really impact any family. In the article, I described the series of failed attempts that my family made to get my brother help. The chaos, the fear, and the heartbreak that addiction brings into any family was costing more than just money. It was costing us joy and hope. I ended the article with this. Conversations about my brother would include such tips as, just let him be homeless. Stop enabling him. You've tried everything, just give up. But the crowd favorite, which was always said in a hopeful, encouraging tone with such conviction, is just let him hit rock bottom. We would say he would not hit the rock bottom and have the miraculous epiphany that you expect. My brother's rock bottom will be 6 feet under. That was 2017, but tonight, against all odds, I get to stand here and say something I never thought I could say. My brother has now been sober for 5.5 years. He is healthy, he is present, and he has rebuilt his life here in Powell River. He has a meaningful and inspiring job in inclusion which supports individuals in need, and he gives back to the community. He actually ran for city council a few years ago, and although he didn't make it, he will be running again, so I hope you'll all get out there and vote. And my brother's in a loving relationship with his fabulous girlfriend, actually now fiance, as of last week. Today, I can proudly say that my brother is not just surviving, he is thriving, largely thanks to Miklat and the caring Powell River community, so thank you. The new Miklat building on Arbutus Avenue is quite personal for my family. In 2020, my parents were exhausted by their countless failed attempts to get my brother help. My mom heard about Miklat through a friend of a friend and decided that my brother would move to Powell River and hopefully attend their outreach program. So in the height of COVID, he moved here. Not long after he moved here, my brother mentioned that Miklat had been offered the old fire hall to renovate into a rehab center, and they needed an architect to secure grant funding. I was completing my final intern hours to qualify for my architectural licensing exams, so my dad, right here, also an architect, and I agreed to take on this project pro bono. Our design intent was to honor the building's heritage and maintain its character, to create a space that felt welcoming and provide hope. As we worked on it, I kept thinking of the wonderful story of taking a now dilapidated, forgotten building, purpose-built in the 1950s for life-saving services, and transforming it into yet another life-saving service. The project moved forward for a few years with small grants. During this time, I became a licensed architect. It kept moving slowly until my dynamic mom, also here, who we lovingly call the Smother, set her mind to contacting a donor group. My mom is a force. My mom and her friend Kathy somehow, single-handedly, managed to secure over $600,000 from the Roadberg Foundation. That huge donation made other organizations really believe in this project. Powell River Community Forest, the Levy and Fitzpatrick families, and other groups jumped on board and together launched the project forward and brought it to life. The transformation of the old fire hall into 12-bed rehab didn't happen because of any one person. It took a village, specifically the village of Powell River. It was made possible by the incredible local contractor Hanson Land & Sea, who poured craftsmanship and care into every corner of the building. It was made possible by the nonprofit operating group Together We Can, and by the steady leadership of the director, Rob Fitzpatrick. It took a dedicated team of engineers, the support of City of Powell River, the support of City Inspector Graham Stewart, and it took the entire Powell River community and the community's belief in the importance of spaces for addiction recovery. So thank you again for your support of Miklat. Thank you for choosing compassion over judgment. Thank you for choosing connection over stigma. Thank you for choosing to believe that every life is worth saving. Your support didn't just save my brother's life. You remind every family like mine that recovery is possible and that we're all in this together. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anna. At this time, we'll hear from someone who has truly worked tirelessly behind the scenes to make this night happen. Janine will kindly provide us with an overview of our incredible silent auction items, highlighting some that deserve some special attention. Please help me welcome Janine.
Well, actually, I did get a little tired. So, so it was about 2.5 years ago, and I was sitting in the back of the church, back there. And I look up over here, and there's a row of men here. And I thought, well, that's really neat. And by the way, can everyone hear me okay? Because I don't know. I don't normally, believe me, I won't sing. Okay. So I'm seeing this group of men over here, and I'm thinking, well, that's neat. We've got some new fellows here. That's cool. And I come back the next week, the next week, and there they are again. I'm thinking, well, is this a team? Because they kind of seem like they know each other. Like, what's going on here? So I asked around, and I talked to a few people, and somebody said, oh, they're from Miklat. And I thought, you'd think a light bulb would go on, but it didn't, because I really didn't know what that was. I had heard a few things, but I didn't really know what that was. So I looked it up online, and I thought, okay, that's what that is. That's very neat. I feel like there's so much in front of me here. But I gotta say, I just have to find this, I find this very interesting, because not everybody feels comfortable walking through the doors of a church. Everyone's surprised. It can be kind of uncomfortable. And if you had said to me at one point in my life, Janine, you're going to walk through the doors of a church, I would have laughed you out of the room. I honestly would have. And I was talking to my sister-in-law not that long ago, and she said to me, Janine, we think she said she was talking to her friends, if we walk through the doors of a church, we will burst into flames. I'm not kidding, and that's not the first time I've heard this burst into flames thing. And then I'm looking at these guys, and I'm thinking, I don't know their level of comfort coming here, but whatever it was, they were willing to push through it and come and see for themselves and see if there's something here for them. And I'm so glad they did that. I don't want to wear my glasses because they make me look old, but then I figure, well, I'm old anyhow, so that's not hiding anything. You have no idea how much I practice this, and I've just drawn a whole big blank. There's a cartoon bubble on top of my head that's empty. So then, the other thing I was looking at, by the way, I was looking at my notes and I thought, oh my gosh, Janine, you sound like a stalker because all I'm doing is observing these fellows. And believe me, I'm not, I'm just observant, I'm not creepy. So the other thing I was noticing is I thought, these guys really seem to have community figured out because they come in together and they leave together and they sit together, sometimes shoulder to shoulder. And one day, I saw this guy, and he was shaking. And the guy next to him leans in and was talking him through it. And I thought, I don't know what that guy said to him, but the guy that was shaking wasn't alone anymore. And he probably felt very understood. There's a lot to be said for feeling understood. Look at that. I printed this really big so you wouldn't need my glasses, but that didn't work. And I'm shaking. So that was my introduction to Miklat. So people could tell me what it was. I could look it up online, but I actually saw what it was. And I was very impressed with what I saw. So I'm going to change lanes on you now and talk a little bit about the silent auction. So last year, I was looking at the numbers and I thought, wow, some people paid more for the item than what it was worth. And then I looked at that and I thought, well, that's kind of Powell River, isn't it? Yeah. That's just who we are. That's Powell River, that's who we are. And then there were some other items and I thought, I'm gonna call them my start the car. Okay, I have some of you laughing. Start the car items, deals. Because I don't know how many of you remember an IKEA ad quite a while ago, where a woman is looking at her bill, keep on tripping on this. There. She's looking at her bill, and she can't believe, she thinks she's got she's got a heck of a deal, right? And she's yelling at her husband, she's got her little shoes on, she's got big buggy eyes, and she's, start the car, woo! there were some start the car deals back there, and I hope you all have a look because I really believe there's something for everyone here. But I thought some stuff sort of flew out of here for not very much money, but that's just the way it went. And so some people got a real good start the car deal. I'm gonna just mention one more thing to you. About silent auction. See, don't I look younger? So, and by the way, there's a thing for bloom therapy, and men always look more handsome holding flowers. So any man here, if you got some flowers, you were way more handsome. So there's bloom therapy back there for you. So one more thing I'm going to mention about the silent auction, which again, I've got the big bubble above my head here. Okay. So very often, when we received something, we just didn't receive an item, we just didn't receive a gift certificate. It came with a story. So many of those items came with a story. And sometimes the story was about a friend who was in addiction, and the person telling the story had no idea where that person was. And sometimes the story was about a partner and how that affected their life. And sometimes the story was about them. So giving was so personal. Giving those things was so personal to them. And I walked into a place this year, and I went for, I was going in with my poster and everything, and a lady that worked there said to me, "My partner is in recovery. Can I give you something for the auction?" I said, "Oh, by all means." So for her, it was personal, right? I think another reason why people give to the auction is because they just are so, the idea of recovery is so important to them. I had this one place last year, and as I'm going out the door, the lady, she didn't yell at me, but she's kind of like, she said, "The answer will always be yes." And what she meant by that is that when I come back next year, we're in it with you. So I'm looking out at a sea of faces. I don't know most of you. I know the people at my table. I don't know most of you, but I imagine for a lot of you here, it's personal. And really, I just followed you, which is very hard to do. Thinking, how am I going to go up? I was going to bring a Kleenex with me. It's personal. And I'm sure that's it. I don't want to show hands on that one, not like the IKEA thing. The other one is, I think some of you just are really, you just want recovery. You see that as being so important. And maybe some of you are like me, who this was kind of new, not that long ago. But whatever the reason, I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for sharing this night with us. Thank you for sharing this time with us. We just so appreciate that. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Denise. The pastor of the Evangel Church, a mainstay truly in the lives of a thriving and rich congregation, has kindly agreed to say grace for us here tonight. Please help me welcome Pastor Lucas.
Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Lucas, and I am thrilled that no one has burst into flames. I just want to say what a pleasure and an honor it is. I look over at this table in this room, and we've had the opportunity to get to know and walk alongside this journey
here. The trajectory, the kind of excruciating, truly, trajectory that often, if not always, characterizes life lived in active addiction, is, in my very own experience, akin to a state of complete and utter enslavement. While the bondage may seemingly be of one's own making, the despair, the hopelessness, the confusion and the heartbreak touches the lives and landscape of all who brush up against our own. The wholesale transformation that occurs in the men and the women who recover, those who finally find firm footing atop stable soils after so long being battered at sea, is nothing short of a miracle. So the men we're now to hear from have all, every one, weathered those torrential storms and have now been brought to shore. Our first speaker is a man very dear to me and dear to anyone, truly, who's fortunate enough to know him. Still in the very early stages of his recovery journey and set to graduate from the 90-day program at Miklat in about 3 weeks' time, Augustus has taken on some incredibly heavy lifting and come through all the stronger for it. Please help me welcome Gus.
You can, yeah. I'm not doing that. Hey, buddy. Maybe it will. Hey, can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can.
I just want to start off by saying the growth and transformation I've had over the past few years of recovery has probably been my greatest achievement in my whole life. I think my second greatest achievement has been not getting any food on my clothes. Thank you, God. So, thanks. Ooh, make sure I have all my pages up. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Augustus, and I am a grateful recovering addict and alcoholic. When I started this journey, I struggled to introduce myself. I felt a deep sense of shame. I was ashamed of how powerless I felt, and yet still how my pride could convince me that I didn't have a problem, and clearly it's everyone else's fault. I wore that pride as my armor for many years, losing trust, burning bridges, and finding peace in the only way I knew how: escape. I was a very good escape artist, but what started as a simple task of getting high instead of feeling down became more complicated as the years progressed. Some drugs, not days, well, a little bit of both. Some drugs became boring and just weren't doing what they used to. Naturally, I would find stronger, better drugs to keep me level-headed and smiling. Of course, those drugs required other drugs to balance side effects caused by drugs I felt but couldn't even remember taking. I had bought the ticket, boarded the train, but couldn't remember why or where I was going. This was my turning point. Our stories disclose in a general way what we used to be like, what happened, and what we are like now. If you decide you want what we have and are willing to go to any length to get it, then you're ready to take certain steps. At some of these we balked. We thought we could find an easier, softer way, but we could not. With all the earnestness at our command, we beg of you to be fearless and thorough from the very start. Some of us have tried to hold on to old ideas, and the result was nil, until we let go, absolutely. Remember, we deal with alcohol. Cunning, baffling, powerful. Without help, it is too much for us. But there is one who has all power. That one is God. May you find him now. Half measures availed us nothing. We stood at the turning point. We asked his protection and care with complete abandon. I was desperate to get off the train that day. Financially, morally, and spiritually bankrupt. I told myself I was willing to do anything to escape this nightmare that my life had turned into. Standing at that turning point, I looked back at my life and summoned the courage to finally admit the drugs are not working and I need help. My name is Augustus and I'm an addict. I reached out and went to a few meetings to share my story and found a treatment center with a bed available a few weeks later. I went to bed that first night in treatment, a little scared, a little restless, but thinking, finally, I have escaped this madness. This hell-bent train was slowing down. I'll close my eyes and rest. Someone will wake me up and tell me it's time to get off and all this will be over. I would find out the hard way that recovery is not just abstaining from drugs. You can't close your eyes and wait for it to be over, and you cannot expect someone to wake you up and tell you it's time to get off the train. The train was commissioned by, built using, fueled with, and staffed alongside the very thing that led me here, my need to escape. Escape all aspects of life that I can't control with a pill, a pipe, a pint, or a person. I left that treatment center early, after 50 days. I felt like a new person. I hadn't abstained from drugs for that long since I was about 14 years old, and in my eyes, I was cured. I found a home near the beach, started a new job alongside the chef at a resort outside Courtney, and waited for my pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. I got off work after my first shift and sat on my couch, twiddling my thumbs. I felt uneasy. I felt vulnerable. I felt alone in a world where my greatest enemy was myself. When I admitted I was an addict, I took off the prideful armor that had protected me from my feelings I spent a lifetime escaping from. I longed for the days where my solution was simple. It was easily accessible, and if I bought two, the third one was on the house. These thoughts brought guilt, and that guilt took the shape of shame. I'd come so far, and yet the pride of peace would cost me my progress. After 2 sleepless nights, I decided I would buy a couple beers after work, just to help me get through this minor discomfort and slight inconvenience. I still can't remember how many beers it took me to find comfort sitting with my own emotions, but the price of peace was a fortune that night. One night turned to 2, and weeks turned to months, and in the blink of an eye, I was right back where I started. My name is Augustus. I am an addict and an alcoholic. The gift of recovery is the process it takes to absorb it. It's a gift, but unlike a present you find under a decorated tree on Christmas morning, it's in these hardships and downfalls that you experience what some might call awakenings. Things that you experience, things that have been right in front of you all along, but you just lack the willingness to admit it. I'd been an alcoholic for years, but it was once again another layer of my armor that my pride didn't want me to take off. I found myself in treatment for the second time in less than a year. The fear and restlessness was still there, but I had some tools in my belt now, and I was really willing to do the work. In fact, if I angled my hand just right, I could read the serenity prayer that I had scribbled on my arm that everyone thought I had memorized. The prayer would be my saving grace through my stay at treatment in Cobble Hill. God did grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and ultimately, the wisdom to know the difference. I dug deep into my heart and found peace in my own vulnerability. I discovered walls that I built around myself and learned not to regret them, but understand that I did this to survive, and it's safe to start taking down the ones that don't serve me anymore. I learned about the importance of an aftercare plan. I learned, and I listened, and I shared, and I prayed. My name is Augustus, and I am a recovering addict and alcoholic. Part of me wishes my story ends there. But once more, my pride and ego would find its way back into my life, disguised as success and fulfillment. And I would learn once again a powerful lesson through my own trials and tribulations. The very thing you put before your own recovery will be the very first thing that you lose. I care deeply for the people I have in my life today. I am insurmountably grateful for the patience of my family, the support from my friends and colleagues, and the loving connection I have with the Lord, my Creator. I will show my gratitude to all through my commitment to myself. A loving commitment, a shameless commitment, and a grateful commitment. My time at Miklat has been spent cultivating love for my inner child, developing patience and understanding that I am exactly where I need to be right now. I need not compare myself or evaluate my progress to anyone. I'm learning to validate within, opposed to feeling unvalidated without the praise of others. I am enough. I will have days filled with success and days filled with disdain. My life will be filled with choices, choosing which direction to carry forward, which attitude and intention to lead my day with, and which battle is not mine to fight. The rooms of NA, CA, AA, and any other space where community can come together and share experiences, strength, and hope with support and without judgment has truly changed my life beyond recognition. My name is Augustus, and I am a grateful recovering addict and alcoholic. I'm sorry, I did $1 above someone on the painting. I apologize.
Incredible guest. The team at Miklat, the staff at Miklat, is varied as could be. But I'll share one fundamental quality, a deep-seated capacity for empathetic understanding, born from the very lived experience that makes us uniquely qualified to be of real aid to those who are still sick and those who are still suffering. We embody a commitment to help others in the very way we ourselves have been helped. There's no better example of this in action than our next speaker. Stuart is adored by clients and staff alike at Miklat. His story is a glowing example of what's possible when we dedicate ourselves wholly to a program of recovery. Please help me welcome my buddy Stu.
Hi everybody, my name is Stuart Barnes and I'm a grateful recovering alcoholic and addict. Feels good to be at a Miklat Gala. I think I was at the first one, Rob, and I took a couple of years off. Anyways, wow, I didn't write nothing down. Sent some other people all types of stuff up. I've always chose to share from the heart, and I think that's what makes my message and my story, my experience, strength, and hope more real. I'm very grateful. You know, my dad is from the Klahoose First Nation. My mom's from Hamalko. We grew up in Powell River. My parents are in recovery, so I was a child of an alcoholic family. So some people would learn to not drink and do drugs because of what their parents did, but I had to go through hell to find out I wanted the taste of heaven, and I finally found that in recovery. My story started, I've been in and out of the program for years, and I'm grateful to look around the room and I see a few faces here that welcome me with their arms wide open, a warm smile, a firm handshake, and lots of love in their eyes to tell me that this doesn't have, the way life was, didn't have to be the way it was. There was hope. So I kept coming back. And a lot of things had to go wrong before they finally went right. And I didn't do what was suggested at the time. I kind of wanted to do step skipping, and you get what you put into it. And I don't regret it though. You know, I was talking to my old sponsor a couple of months ago, and I would have had like 30 years of recovery if I didn't pick up that next drink or drug. You know what got me through my recovery many times in my life was 417 of the big book, acceptance. And acceptance is the answer to all my problems today. It's so true. And that doesn't even have to apply to my drinking and drugging. I had to apply that to breaking up with a toxic crazy girl. That was one of the hardest things in my life to do that. And I look around the room and I know two people right off the top of my head who were there for me at that time of need. And you know, there's times in my life, well, I've been at Miklat for almost the past 6 years now, I think. And there are some lean times. I just forgot to start my timer. Sorry, Scott. This will start over. Okay, now about that now. I like to pause stories. Scott told me I only had 7 to 10 minutes to speak. And the guys at the house know I can go for 20 minutes or more. And I love it, you know. I love to share. I love to have laughs. And it's part of my gratitude. And I love who I'm becoming because of the help from the staff at Miklat, from the counselors to the managers, to my coworkers, and then of course the clients. You know, there's this one moment, I've said it a few times since somebody's been in the house. I had a problem and I was talking to a client and I would say this, blah, blah, and he was like, "It's okay." And it's okay. You know, this too shall pass, right? I was hired as a support worker, you know, 5, 6 years ago. I'm supposed to support the clients and of course the fellow staff, but they support me too. It's a two-way street. You know, that living room at McGuffey has been so magical. You know, there's been many tears that have been shed in that room. Lots of laughter at the gazebo, and some tears have been shed. But, you know, what was formed was the brotherhood. And I'm so grateful for that, because I look around the room and I see a couple of alumni here, and we've made friends. I made friends over the years. And I could see a few in the room, and I'm really grateful for that. Because, you know, I was sharing with, somebody was sharing to me who I look up to in recovery, and he was saying that, why do I go to meetings? I was like, well, I go because I need to and want to. He said he goes because he wants to change somebody's life, and I believe he does. You know, I should have died a few times over in my drinking and drugging days, but my firm belief was my higher power, the Creator, has kept me alive. I guess ideally for this position, for this period of my life. This is, I don't want to sound egotistical, but this is what I feel truly meant to do. And I wish I had more time, because I was in the dinner lineup and I was telling some of the ladies what I do seasonally. I do grizzly bear tours, and I had 3 jokes that I would say on the tour, but unfortunately I don't have time for that. But, you know, if we want to meet out in the parking lot, I have a grizzly bear joke, a woodpecker joke, a grizzly bear joke, and a fish joke. So I'll do one. Okay, twist it around. A fish is swimming underwater. He hits a wall. What does the fish say? Damn! Anyways, I think that's it. Thanks, Todd.
That was amazing, Stu. Wasn't disappointed at all. And kept it within the 7 minutes. Amazing. Appreciate it. A graduate from Miklat the summer past. Our next speaker continues truly to dedicate a huge portion of his time and his energy to a life lived giving back. Exemplified so beautifully by his ever-present willingness to show up in whatever way he's needed, making every attempt to clear the path for the guys coming behind him. He's someone that I'm always, every time, happy to see. His name's Brad. Please help me welcome him.
Wow. Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for coming and your support here for Miklat. I'm truly honored and grateful to be here this evening to share with you my experience that I've had at Miklat. Thanks. So a quick little background. I'm kind of local to PR. I've been here and part of the community for a little over 30 years. I came here when I was 15 and put into foster care, which was the beginning with my struggle with alcohol and drugs. That's a whole other story I'm not going to get into tonight. What I really want to share about is what Miklat's done for me and my journey through there. Actually, it was Stu that picked me up from the hospital. Little did I know then he'd become a great mentor and a friend to me over this journey. I remember sitting in the car and driving to Miklat, and I was just thinking, wow, I'm going to enter this house, bunch of grumpy guys, getting sober, not having any fun. And it was actually the quite opposite. I walked in there, everyone was smiling, they were laughing, they were very warm and welcoming, which made it quite a bit easier for the transition. So now I've been at the house for about a few weeks there, and I was really struggling when I was there to let go of the past. And I had a lot of resentments. I was feeling really guilty about a lot of the stuff and people I hurt over the course of years, especially my loved ones. I kept hearing, from the staff and from the counselors, that I have to forgive myself and I got to let these things go, but I couldn't figure out how. I know it was highly suggested to me to, connect with a higher power, which I really at the time wasn't having no part of because, the way I grew up was religious and I was pretty angry at God at the time. But my attitude on the higher power, it changed one night. It was actually at an AA meeting. I heard someone share a story. It was quite intriguing, and I was listening to it, and they started talking about Mother Nature being their higher power. And I really can relate to that. I'm quite an outdoors person. I'm always out in the woods. I like to hunt. So I was really connected with Mother Nature, and I thought, I might as well give it a whirl. The big change happened one day. We went to a sweat lodge. This was a really, really big changing moment for me. The elder said, he spoke, to have a purpose when you were going in there. And I thought to myself, well, what a better time than to forgive myself and let some of the past resentments, for others and childhood trauma, to let it all go. I remember when I exited that sweat lodge, the overwhelming and warmth feeling that I got when I exited. I felt lighter. I felt like a weight had been lifted off me. And then all of a sudden, something clicked, and everything that I was learning at the house started to make sense. So I was now all in. I was ready to try everything that was suggested to me. I went out every opportunity I had in society, volunteering, helped giving back, which was a great help. It made me feel real good about myself, and I just kept wanting to work and work more harder at this. I started opening up and talking about my feelings in group for the first time ever in my life. Going to meetings, doing service work, and so much more. It helped me out in one way or another. Miklat's got such a wide range of programming going on there. It's not just a 12-step program that I got out of it. There's so much more there. The counselors have different stuff they talk to you about. The hikes, to exercise and training, to smart meetings. There's so much to get out of it. It helped quite a bit. It just wasn't, one thing that they focused on. I graduated. Okay, yeah. I also, the staff there as well. They help you out so much. I learned so much from each staff member, even the cooks. They were a great help there in with the guys. I even learned lots through hanging out with the other guys at the house and talking to them. It helped teach a lot about myself and about others and all our journeys in recovery. So now, as my time's coming to an end at Miklat, I had to think about what I was going to do when I graduated. I thought I was going to move back home, but the staff was a great help in suggesting second stage, a sober living house. And at the last moment, I chose to move there, and I'm very, very glad that I did. I'm very grateful that they stress staying connected. This is something I find is a huge help for me. I know I tried getting sober before, and there was just always something missing. I just couldn't stay sober, and I didn't know what it was. Now I think it's the connection that I have now with all the guys at the house, everybody else that I met in the recovery community. It fills that void now that I used to have with drugs and alcohol, and it really, truly helps me, and for that, I'm very grateful. I try to make as much regular visits I can to the house, visiting the guys, especially in the mornings before I go to work. I truly believe that we help one another. We truly learn from one another and help one another. So I've been graduated now for a little over 5 months, and over the course of time now, since I've been out, I've met some great guys at the house, had some great conversations and staying connected to them, and I'm very grateful for that. So to close, I'd really like to thank Miklat, the staff of Miklat. It not only changed my life, but it changed the lives of those around me, my family members, close friendships, my employer. They all now get to sleep more peacefully at night knowing that I'm doing better. So it not only changes people's lives, but everyone around us. So thanks, Miklat. Thank you all for coming. And It's very honored to be here.
I would like to take a quick moment to acknowledge and express a massive amount of gratitude to the crew in the kitchen here tonight. Chef Steve, Chef Zach, and all the guys at Miklat. Everyone's been helping out here tonight. But without them, this is not happening. Much, Rob. Okay, one of the individuals without whom the very conception of the new Arbutus building that Rob was just referring to wouldn't have been possible is here with us tonight and would like to share a few words. Please help me welcome Hannah.